Welcome back into another episode of Mindset Monday with me, Matt, one half of Two Faux Couple, bringing you tips, tricks, tools, mindset ideas that really helped me become the person I am today. This isn't just about getting sober or being sober. It's about becoming a better man, becoming a better person, becoming a better version of you, the one that you know is in there and you're just not sure how to get to. And as much as I say that, we do talk about sobriety on the show. And this is actually an episode that was listener inspired. Had someone reach out, actually a few of you reach out to talk about how to be sober in a world that is absolutely obsessed with alcohol. Getting sober is one thing. I'm not talking about that today. That's a whole nother topic. Why should we get sober? How do you get sober? What are the different ways you do that? We've touched on that. What about how to be sober? What about the 1,000 different decisions you need to make in any given week that keep you there? If you've someone who's come up short before, I hope I can give you some tools here that helped me along the way, and they could probably help you if you execute these things. Speaking of how to be sober, SoberLink is a partner of our show, proud partner of our show, and we're proud to talk about them. It is the ultimate accountability device that you can put in your life that kind of looks like a breathalyzer, because it is a breathalyzer, but it's just so much more than that. It's a device that you agree to use, you voluntarily use. So you're showing people in your life that you've got skin in the game. They're not forcing you to do it. It's not something from the drugstore that you pick up or something from Amazon that you're going to argue about when the time really comes. This is a serious commitment, a serious commitment. You get a device, you get a plan, you sign up on this plan, and people in your circle get alerted every time you use the device. So you've got a layer of accountability there, because the next time you think about drinking, you will have the thought, well, I can't because 4 or 5 people are going to know what I'm doing. And how am I going to explain that? That will keep you there some days whenever you're trying to just white knuckle and get through it. But you've also got people who are rooting for you. And as we talk about in this episode, positive reinforcement is huge, and surrounding yourself with people that are really, really pulling for you and they're supporting the things that you're trying to doing, it's massive. So they're going to get alerted. That's massive. But really, I think what it is, it's a gift that you give your loved ones. My words had lost meaning by the time I finally decided to get sober. I had told her more times than I can count, it'll be different this time. I've got it together. I'm trying this new thing. Man, they want to believe us, but why should they, right? Trust is lost in buckets and it's rebuilt in droplets, and it takes a long time to reestablish trust in a relationship. You can't be sober for 3 weeks and expect everything in your house to be okay. Not to mention all the behaviors that they are now presenting because we forced them to, like looking for bottles, like smelling our breath, like looking at our locations, like all these behaviors that people call quote unquote codependent. It's not codependent, by the way. Paige has got some awesome episodes on that. This is someone trying to survive. This is someone trying to keep their family together. This is someone trying to keep their finances and a roof over their heads. This is someone trying to find safety. You can do that for them. You can help them through that. Change behavior is the ultimate way, but let's be real, it's not a perfect world. Sometimes it's the action of being sober before the behaviors come. Very few people are just going to change their behaviors and then they're going to be sober as a result of that. That's usually long-term, as we'll get in today, and you'll find a real reason to stay sober. In the beginning, it really is, I've got to have some accountability around my drinking because I can't trust myself anymore and they don't trust me. And SoberLinks recognize that there's a big hurdle and a lot of friction in getting one of these things because they're pricey. $500 for a device. Well, they've got a cure for that. You have no more excuses because now there are no more upfront costs. None. They have device rental plans now. For as little as $19 a month when you sign up for a 1-year plan, that's what your device is. That's it. $19 a month, device rental. And because you're a listener of our show and you're going to use our link that we'll talk about later, they're going to give you a $100 Visa gift card to be applied toward your monthly plan cost. So it drops that monthly plan cost as well. No more excuses. They've taken away all the friction. What are you waiting for? Get a SoberLink today, start to rebuild trust and start to put some accountability and some guardrails back in your life. If you're serious, put some skin in the game and let's go. And if you're in the situation where your marriage is just cooked and at this point you're like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. My relationship didn't work out though. I just need to keep my kids safe from this guy now. You can get these things written into your custody agreements. You can get them written in, guys. The court can force them to use them as well. They can be used in cases where you know those kids have no business with that person. This stuff is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada, and is considered the gold standard by judges and courts and lawyers. They know how to work with these things and they can put them into your custody agreements. So SoberLink is there for you in those situations too. Again, go to our link, soberlink.com/wheels to get your rebate now. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. Enter your email address in, and they will get you that rebate. Remember, no more excuses, no more upfront costs. $19 a month, and you can swing that, I promise. And then the money you get back from SoberLink can be applied to your monthly cost. It decreases even more. It's the best offer they've ever had. We're excited to talk about it, and I hope some of you do take advantage of that. Now, while you're on the internet, you need to go over to twfo.com, TWFO.com, to learn about all things TUFO. Did you know that we have a free Facebook group? Totally free, with thousands and thousands of other listeners of our show, where they're going to go and talk about their experience. Now, this is for partners and spouses. If you are someone who's in recovery, I'm working on opening a group for us. But if you've got a year or more of sobriety, you are allowed in there with your spouse's permission. And if you are someone like me and you're in that group, this is a place for you to learn. This is a place for you to validate. This is a place for you to observe. Think of it as a war memorial. It is not your place to come in there and just chit chat and ask what everyone is doing. This is for spouses and partners. This is their space, but it is very beneficial for you to have insight as to what that looks like. If you're not there yet at a year, this is why the show exists, so you can learn in other ways. But it's totally free. And hey, we've had some guys that are becoming part of the group. It's kind of a lonely arena to be a man in this space where your wife is struggling with alcohol or drugs, because there just aren't a lot of men in that situation. Usually it's the other way around. But we've got a lot of really awesome men that are looking for more support. So I'm going to start a group chat where guys can support each other. The male side of this. The women have a lot of support and they're doing amazing. They're taking care of each other, but sometimes it's different when you're a guy reaching out to other women. Listen, there's a million reasons that could go wrong, but I think more than anything, it just feels different to have other men in your corner who are in the same situation. So I know I've had at least 2 reach out. I'd like to get a bunch of us in a group chat, and you guys can start to lean on each other a little bit, just like the girls are doing. It's an amazing place. It really is like one of the last pure places on the internet. There's no cost to you. This is just people trying to be better and just leaning on one another and being inspirational, and sometimes just being there to listen, just being there to validate. If there's free community calls in there as well. And if you feel like you need a higher degree of like, okay, this is all great, but I need something a little more, we've got something for you there too. We've got a program called Independently Strong, and you can find out more by going to our website, twfo.com, or independentlystrong.com, where you can learn about the program that we built with a licensed therapist, Dr. Christopher Taylor. It features Paige primarily. I'm in there a little bit when I talk about the addiction stuff, and then Dr. Taylor. And we're going to walk you through what it is that you're actually experiencing. And it's a loss of identity. It's a loss of self. And we're going to help you reclaim that. That's the number one thing that we hear from spouses and partners is, I feel like I've lost myself. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't even know where to begin. Well, we're going to figure out what your values are. And from that, we're going to create some boundaries in your life. Because if you know anything at this point, is that you cannot change other people. But you can set up boundaries to prevent yourself from getting hurt. So we're going to figure out, what do those need to be? What do they look like? Here they are. We're going to talk about what it is to build a healthy self, what self-care is and what it isn't, the difference between self-care and self-indulgence. We talk about codependency just a little bit, more as a colloquial term, not so much as like something that you are, because we don't believe that you are. We're going to talk about the decision, do I stay or do I go? What does that actually look like? And many, many more. There's 10 modules, and it is very robust. It's got worksheets, and it has exclusive meetings on Wednesday evenings where Paige and I generally make an appearance. So you do get some time with us where you can get feedback if it's appropriate, obviously. It's not like a, hey, give me advice kind of thing. What's really cool about that group is that you're going to be around other people who are really doing the deal, like the ones who are really serious about it. And it's the most amazing group of people. I never leave those meetings feeling anything but inspired and fired up. It's hard to sleep afterward because I'm so fired up. I'm full of life and vigor, and it's amazing. You can get 75% off that course entering the code Wheelies75 at checkout. Again, that's Wheelies75 at checkout. We've got on our website, Recovery Rocks merch. I'm working on some new merch now. You can't see it off camera here. I've got a new vision board for some hoodies that we've got coming. I've got to get the hoodies first. I found these things, right? TikTok shops, like my favorite hoodie ever. And I went to place a wholesale order, and the guy was a complete jerk about it. So I just found the factory where they're made, and we're going to get them ourselves, guys. And they're going to be affordable, and they're going to be awesome. Great quality. I can't wait to get them. So be ready for that. We've got Recovery Rocks. It's got our logo on the front. On the back, it says, thank you for being my rock. Shirts, stickers, hats, all kinds of good stuff. Here's a sticker. Boom, right there. This one's torn at the corner, and every time I say I'm going to replace it, I don't. At this point, it's just a bit. I'm just going to keep saying that. But if you want to support our show, there's also another way you can do it. You can buy us a cup of coffee. Go to our social media profiles, like on Instagram or TikTok, and click the link tree in there, and you can buy us a cup of coffee. We'd appreciate it. I love coffee. Coffee's my thing. It's one of my vices, as we will talk about here in a bit. Still do have some vices. Not totally boring, guys. Just not ones that ruin my life. All right, let's get this thing started. How to be sober and what this is really about. A lot of people have reached out and asked, like, how do you deal with social situations? What do you do now for fun? How do you have conversations with people that you don't drink anymore? How do you everything, right? Because in a world that is obsessed with alcohol, it is kind of weird at times being the odd man out, being someone who's trying to live healthier, being someone who's really doing the deal and working to be sober when you don't have a ton of support, or you live in a culture or a place where drinking is just everything. Or you've just never really had to learn how to do it. You never had examples of that. And it can be really, really difficult. I think the first thing that was difficult for me was boredom. Boredom is really, really tough in sobriety. Remember being a kid in the summer, what that was like, being bored, like straight up bored? It's miserable. My parents used to tell me, like, you're not going to die of boredom, but it felt like you would. It's awful. And as an adult, suddenly we have money and cars and we can go do things and we can fill our time. And like, there's all these, but we still find ourselves bored. Drinking for me was like one of the greatest cures for boredom. I would just sit around and drink. And that's what I did. And that's what a lot of adults do. It can be really, really tough early on to just sit with your feelings, just sit with that stuff and deal with it and let life unfold. It's incredibly difficult. And I just hadn't allowed boredom in so many years. Alcohol filled every single gap. And so when the noise stopped, it was like I was face to face with empty space, and it was like unbearable. And I felt really, really vulnerable. And so what's going on with the brain here? Okay. I'm not a neuroscientist, nor am I a therapist, but I'm someone that's been there before. And I wanted to read about what was going on with me. I also sat through some medical lectures about what's happening to the brain in addiction and in recovery. This is science, guys. It's okay to feel this way. Just know that it's normal, and we all go through this. So alcohol hijacks your dopamine, your reward system. And when you stop, you're going to flatline. You are going to have a higher baseline reward sensitivity. What that means is you used to be used to all this excitement, so anything less than that feels like death. It just feels like you're sitting around waiting for your infinite return to the grave. And there's just nothing can get you pumped up. Nothing can get you excited. This is your brain recalibrating. Normal stuff is going to feel flat for a while. You're not going to find joy in a lot of stuff for a while. And it's okay. This will pass. A lot of people get to this point and it's easy to quit because it feels so uncomfortable. You're like, if this is what sobriety is like, no life. I promise you it gets better than that. I promise you. In the beginning, though, it's just really tough. Your brain is going to be very understimulated. Flat, like a feeling flat, it is not equal to failure. That is very normal. It's your brain recalibrating. In neuroplasticity, a process that we will talk about throughout this episode, is your brain's amazing ability to rewire itself. The brain is neuroplastic. It is always changing. People can change. I believe in the human capacity and ability to change. I am evidence of this. And there are millions and millions of people like me. You've likely read stories about them, or you know someone, or maybe you've been one yourself. You've undergone massive changes in your life, brain-wise, not just physical fitness or something like that, but even that involves some degree of neuroplastic reward center changes and whatnot. But it takes a lot of new inputs repeated over and over and over and over to make ordinary life feel rewarding again. It just takes time. For me, I think the first 90 days were actually kind of my pink cloud era in recovery, where everything felt pretty free and easy and I felt good. And I was like, oh, I can totally do this. And about that 90-day mark, pause hit, post-acute withdrawal. And I felt like I just hit a wall. All of a sudden I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. The days felt longer. I'd kind of lost the zeal for recovery. But they told me this was coming, and I want you to know it's coming too. It will happen, and that's totally normal. Some people, it's about 90 days. Some people later, some people earlier. Sometimes it lasts for a few days. Sometimes it lasts for a few weeks. Some people it lasts for months. I knew a guy who was like white knuckle sober for 9 months, I think, before it finally started to turn around. But this is a guy that used and drank for like, I think 30 years. Like, there's a lot to undo there, right? His brain took quite a bit for it to get kind of back to normal, or what normal meant for him. But a lot of people between 6 and 12 months. That's why I want to talk about SoberLink being like, commit to that for a year. Commit to that for a year. That's part of the reason why, is because there's still so much healing going on in the brain. you have to give yourself a chance, a real chance. And that doesn't mean 2 weeks. That doesn't mean a month or 2 months. We're talking like long term, 6 to 12 months for you to start to really feel different. I'll put it this way. If you're still bored and you're still like, this sucks after a year, you're doing it wrong. You will have fun in recovery. You will have fun sober just as much as you did before. That was one of the scariest things in the world for me. And I think everyone is, you think that you're never going to have fun again. You think that life's just going to be dull. You'll never have a good vacation again. Sex will be boring. You're never going to laugh. You'll never be able to watch a baseball game or go fishing or play golf. Maybe not right away, but you'll be able to do all this stuff and then some. And you're going to remember every bit of it and you're going to be present for it. And it's going to take on totally new meaning. And it's much better. My experience has been that it's much, much better. But flat is the silence kind of between demolition of like your old life and construction of your new life. It's just a silent period. Doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's totally normal. It's to be expected, right? You have jacked up your reward system in your brain to such a high baseline that it took a lot to get you jazzed about something, to get you going. You removed all of that, all of a sudden, your brain's going to be craving that stimulation. It's going to need something, right? And this is why transitional addiction is also something to look out for in early recovery. Whether it's like sex and porn addiction, which where a lot of people go because you feel like you just need some kind of stimulus to feel different. Me personally, energy drinks were my thing. Energy drinks, an unhealthy amount of energy drinks. I don't recommend this, but I felt like I needed something in me, right? Just something. I started smoking cigarettes when I was in treatment, and I wasn't a smoker, but the treatment center even told me, like, you want to do something, you're going to need something. Like, you're going to be going crazy if you don't have some kind of vice. And to this day, I still use nicotine. And I've gone back and forth on that since I got sober. I used tobacco at one point, like chewing tobacco, and that just got gross. I quit smoking because that's gross. I couldn't stand the way I smelled afterward. And so I settled on like nicotine gum, like Nicorette, which you're supposed to use to quit smoking, but I never had intentions of quitting nicotine necessarily. Listen, I've given up every vice in my life except for coffee and nicotine. And I can live with that. It's about behaviors, not the substance, right? My behaviors aren't affecting anybody when I'm chewing on a piece of gum. Just not. Or you want to use Zins or like whatever the hell. It doesn't matter to me. Energy drinks, though, is something I did in the beginning because I felt like I needed something, like copious amounts of caffeine just to feel something. And I remember I was in an IOP and there was this woman in there with us, and we were all kind of in the same boat where like anyone in early recovery is doing a handful of things. They're either shopping like crazy, they're drinking way too much caffeine and way too much nicotine, or they're doing some very questionable things in their private lives behind closed doors because you just need to feel different, something, right? But all these things run the risk of either hurting your health or creating a whole new addiction entirely. So you have to be really careful and accountable to yourself and honest with yourself about this kind of stuff. But this girl had come in and she had like those big cans of Red Bull, like the giant ones. And she had like 3 that day. And we were in a process group, like a real quiet situation. And she started like dry heaving and she was shaking. They had to call the paramedics, like way too much crap and energy drinks, man. Way too much. Careful with that shit. But you're going to want to do something. I just pick something healthy as possible. Okay. Not your old substance, not a similar substance. Something available to everyone that's not going to ruin your life. Ideally. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, you should be sober off of everything. Maybe if that's right for you, but let's just be realistic. Let's just deal with one thing at a time here. One thing at a time. Sugar in food is another one. And we'll get there in a minute. I got a fun story about what that was like when I was years sober. Good grief. Okay. Also, hey, there's what's called the resume versus restart paradox. It's weird. Whenever you get sober, you're going to feel better. And I've said this before, but you're going to feel anger better, sadness better, depression better, because you're going to feel for the first time in a long time. And then at some point, you're going to kind of get okay with all of that. And you will be fooled, like many have before, to think that all of a sudden now you are healed. Now you can drink like a normal person. It was just a phase, mom. I was just going through something. I was going through a lot of stress at work. And you can convince yourself that you're going to be able to drink again. You won't. Really good chance you won't. Very, very slim chance that you're going to be able to go out there and do it. Here's how it works. For me anyway, and I think for many people I've known, I'm just going to say it. This is the way it works, is that whenever you stop, it's not like you start over back from square one. Think of it like a VHS or a CD player. You just press pause. And whenever you start again, you press play. So whatever level you were at, close to it, when you press play, that's kind of where you start again. So if you've been sober for 6 months or 8 months and you decide, I'm going to give it a shot again, in a very short period of time, you will be back at square one. Not square one, back where you left off. You will be back there before you know it, back to acting crazy, huge amounts, and maybe not right away, but pretty quickly. Because those old neural pathways are still very much present. Think of it like this, okay? Let me think of an analogy here. Oh, let's say that there's a trail, okay? A trail in the woods. And you've been walking this trail forever and it's well worn. That represents the neural pathways that you have with your substance, whatever it might be, or your behavior, if you're a behavioral addict. That pathway is well worn. That dirt is packed hard. No grass touches that trail. It is a trail. It is clearly a trail. Now, all of a sudden, you stop walking that trail. You start walking a new trail. Is that new trail going to be worn in and packed on day one? No. It takes quite some time to wear that in like your old one. And while you're walking this new one, what's happening to your old one? It's starting to grow over a little bit, and nature's kind of taking back over, and the edges of the trail now have grass or maybe some clover sprouting around the sides of them. But if you were to look hard enough, it's still a trail, right? There's still parts of the Oregon Trail to this day that you can view and still see wagon wheels. Those are like your neural pathways in addiction. They're still available. They don't go away completely. They're still there, which is why we don't just go back and use like we never had a problem before. It's you access those, that trail starts getting worn down and really quickly because it's so familiar to your brain. We stay on this new trail long enough, it becomes so packed that it's as easily accessible as the old one. It's easier now, right? But the old one's still there. It is still there. To this day, my old neural pathways are still there. They will be, probably for the rest of my life. And that's okay. I know what to do to avoid them. I'm not going to give them a shot, right? I'm not going to start down that trail. I know what that provides. But there's also what's called cue reactivity, triggers, right? Walking into a bar, even if it's not like your bar, walking into a bar, just the sights and the sounds and the smells of a bar. It could be a group of people laughing, like jovial laughter, because that reminds you of conviviality and drinking and having a good time. And it kind of triggers those thoughts, smells. It could just be a Friday on the calendar. When the weekend's coming up, what does that generally mean? It lights up those old pathways. It just, they twinkle like Christmas lights all of a sudden. And it's like, ooh, remember I'm over here. Remember me? I'm over here. In those moments, you have to be prepared. You have to know what you're going to do. But there's the habit loops where you get the cue. The cue reminds you of the routine that you take, and then the reward that you get, which is, in that case, getting drunk. What we have to do is establish new rewards. New rewards. So let's talk about what those rewards are. Okay. The rewards in sobriety are better than the rewards of drinking, but they're more long-term. Feels good to spend money. It feels good to like get a quick win, to win money anyway. It feels good to go to Vegas and pull a slot machine. You got 5x your money that you put in. That feels awesome in the moment. People get addicted to this because it's so rewarding. It's amazing. But what's better, making 5x on your money right then when you could have lost it all, or making, 12x on your money over a long period of time, investing in the S&P over a very short period or a very, very long period of time, little amounts over a long period of time. This is called delayed discounting. There's a study that was done, the kids in Oreos, y'all know about this one, the kids in the cookie, I think it was Oreos. What's interesting about this study though, it's not replicable. So I kind of doubt the validity of it, but I'm going to say it here because I think it's valid. For the purposes of our conversation, it is. Hang on. Speaking of energy drinks, that's more of a productivity drink, though. That's what they call it. All right. So your brain overvalues reward now versus benefit later. And alcohol weaponizes this. We're stressed out. You can make yourself feel better right now with like 3 or 4 drinks. But what's the cost? Right? We know what the costs are. We don't even go through all of them. The costs are not worth it. The other way of going about this, we're going to talk about box breathing, exercise, picking up the phone, new healthy patterns, some mantras you can repeat to yourself. Take a little bit longer, and the reward is massive downstream. Massive. More effort, massive reward. They did this study with kids in Oreos, back to that, where they gave a bunch of kids and put a bunch of kids in a room. They had, cameras behind like like that glass, like the mirror glass. And they told the kids, you can eat that Oreo right now if you want. But if you would like, you can wait 5 minutes and you'll get 2 Oreos. And then they shut the door and just let the kids do their thing. And pretty quickly, just about every single kid ate an Oreo, with the exception of a few. And when they came back in, they were given another Oreo and they got to eat 2 Oreos while everyone else was just sitting there looking at them like, oh man, I wish I would have done that. That's addiction. That's alcohol in a nutshell, is that we have lost kind of our ability to delay discount. And every sober choice you make is going to actually strengthen that bigger later circuit. I'll get a bigger reward later. It's your prefrontal cortex. It's your executive control. It's your ability to reason and ration and think forward instead of in the moment, purely based on emotion. And you're going to take pride in some of that friction too over time. These are kind of the rewards we talked about that are huge. Remember what self-pride is like? If you're anything like me in the early days, you forgot. I didn't know what it was like to feel proud of myself anymore. I'd forgotten it. I didn't like myself. I despised thinking about the things that I'd done. I thought I was a failure. Thought I was a failure of a man and as a husband and as a father. And I cannot believe my wife could even look me in the eye. And like, that's how I walked around all the time treating myself. And I know a lot of people are even worse than that. Remember what self-pride felt like and how good that is. Remember getting an A on a test that you studied for in 4th grade and coming home, and it just felt amazing. Like, it would make your day in a way that, man, wouldn't it be great to rekindle that feeling? Well, guess what? You can. We're going to take substances out of our lives and learn how to do this in other ways. You're going to get pride, which is a sort of social currency, like a social dopamine. And it's also identity reinforcement, because you are going to be a sober person and this will become part of your identity. People rag on like runners and CrossFitters and people that are really into these certain events because they talk about it a lot. Well, it's part of their identity. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Maybe they're annoying, whatever, cyclists, whatever it is, but this is a part of this person's identity and they're getting a lot of pride from it. I think it's wonderful. I always cheer these people on. So as much as they annoy others, it's great. They're talking about their workouts, what's doing, it's reinstilling to them the reasons they do what they do. It's very important to them. And it's usually stuff that's pretty healthy. Nothing wrong with it. Sobriety will become something very familiar. So when you choose a new behavior, kind of in summary on this section, new behavior is going to, that faint path is going to, it represents a weak synaptic connection, right? That tall grass that we're going to start walking through and packing down gets stronger over time. And your old behavior, which is like a 6-lane superhighway, so easy to access. It's fast, it's automatic. We don't want to get on that thing anymore. It has not served us any well. So it's about repetition plus emotion plus context. We are going to set off on a new path. It's going to be wonderful. Stick with me here. Remember, you're building a new brain living in the same world, and that's a tough thing to do. I think that alone you should be proud of. Okay, so practical boredom tips. These are some things that I did when I was early recovery. I remember being sober and bored and calling my mentor and being like, I feel weird. He's like, that's called boredom. Remember that? He was being a smart ass. And like, I laughed because yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I do now. Now that you mentioned it, I totally remember this, but I didn't remember it in the moment. It's also called serenity. Like, it's an amazing thing that, imagine such a privilege that you can just sit around and there's nothing affecting your life. You can just kind of do your thing. That's an amazing feeling, isn't it? All right, boredom tips, practical boredom tips. Let's talk about some of the practical boredom tips. 15-minute rule, guys. Cravings generally last no more than 15 minutes. If you can get through a 15-minute period of time, you can generally get past that craving that feels impossible in the moment. The craving that feels like you were just going to fall apart if you can't get whatever it is that you desire. 15 minutes. What can we do for 15 minutes? That's the way I had to think about it. I got 15 minutes to burn. What can I do? I would generally call somebody. It was the easiest thing for me to do, is to pick up that phone that feels like it's 1,000 pounds in the moment. And you pick this thing up and you talk to somebody. I would talk to someone who was supportive of my recovery, and we would just talk through it. Sometimes I would call, generally the way it works, I would call and tell them like, dude, I'm just kind of being a little funny right now. And it's even hard to say. A lot of people don't want to admit that they're struggling, but just admit it. It's okay. We all do it. It's fine. Like, you're human. Congratulations. You too. Just, hey man, I'm struggling. And we would end up talking about something completely different by the end of it. We'd be talking about work. We'd be talking about sports or family or the news, current events, whatever, politics. I don't know, like whatever comes up. And then at that point, you've been distracted long enough that you're like, you get off the phone, you're like, feel better. And you also have pride in yourself. Like, damn, I got through that. That shit actually works. It's amazing. You can go for a walk. That was something I would do as well. Go for a walk. Something else I would do that I don't recommend for everyone. I would just eat sugar. I would eat so much sugar. My first year sober, I gained 70 pounds, maybe a little more than that, actually. I was like 160 something when I checked into treatment. And then within, I'd say by probably December of that year, I was 220, 230 and like not healthy. I ate every feeling I had when I was bored. And there are worse things you can do. It's better than the alternative. And I tell people, we will deal with that. Do what you need to do to get through this for right now. Okay. This is not a permanent solution, but if that's what you need to do, do it. Eat the candy, eat the candy bars. I mean, I had a drawer that was full of candy wrappers, like full. Paige will even tell you, man, it was like overflowing. You could open this drawer and it would like spring out, go over the room. That's what I did. Dude, I had them in my backpack at all times because I would get cravings and stuff like that. And I would just eat sugar and just feel better, like give me a little dopamine rush. It was something. But then I had to work that weight off, which was actually a really fun period of time in my life where I really learned how to like work hard and persevere and push and lose weight the right way. Because before I would just take uppers and lose weight and like never really did it the right way. That was a really fun time in my life. But you can also drink a big glass of water. I would do this too. I would just like chug water till my stomach like hurt. And it would give me some time to like just do something and then reassess, right? Use whatever you have to in these moments. You got 15 minutes to deal with this, okay? 15 minutes. You can also, what I would suggest is use your phone. Not like to just look at TikTok, but use it, like get a note section for things that you do, reminders for what you do whenever this feeling hits, whenever this malaise hits. Maybe you like cooking. I've seen some people become like really good at cooking in sobriety, really good, like world-class type food. Maybe you want to start getting a recipe together. You want to go to the store and you want to prep a big meal because you like the anticipation feeling that provides. Ooh, I'm going to get this reward at the end. Great. It's better than what we were doing. Plus, it's kind of a cool passion to have. It's a fun thing. It's really cool, I think. You can lift some weights. That's another big one. I had to do that later on, but lifting weights became a big one for me. Sometimes I would just have to drop and do like 20 push-ups, 30 push-ups, or I'd go for a run. You got a garage project? I know a guy that got into woodworking, like really serious into woodworking, and ended up doing some pretty amazing things with woodworking. Like that was how he filled his time in those early days. He bought like a crappy old lathe off like Facebook Marketplace and drill press and some saws. And then he got into like all these crazy exotic woods and he was making stuff. Like it's how he filled his time. You can spend time with your kids. That's another one. A lot of people in sobriety want to suddenly like go like, it's like a midlife crisis and you want to go get like a Corvette and start working on it. Remember that you have kids and you've got stuff around the house you could be doing too. This is stuff for when that stuff's handled. I should have prefaced all that by saying that first. You've got kids you can be involved with. Your kids are struggling with something in homework in their math class and they could really use your help. If you could spend some time with them and get to know them a little bit better to where they're comfortable asking you for that kind of help. That's an amazing and rewarding experience. One of my favorite things to do. I love when my kids come home and ask me for help with math or something. I sit there with them and we figure it out. And I feel awesome at the end because I've remembered how to do 7th or 8th grade math that I've forgotten how to do. And it's fun. And I get to teach them and then they feel better. And I feel like I've been a parent that day. It's amazing. Dishes in the sink and there's a ton of laundry that needs to be done. And like laundry, people knock on it, but the worst part of laundry is having to actually hang the crap up. I don't mind like doing the loads and getting it out and then folding everything because I'll sit there and zone out and I'll watch like a documentary or something while I'm doing it all. It's just up and down the stairs as I have to put the stuff up. It's not very fun. You can clean your car, take a cold shower, ice bath, sauna, do some breath work. Box breathing is an amazing tool that I used a ton. Oxygen is going to change the way you feel. Remember, I was looking to change the way I felt. That's the reason I did what I did. I liked an altered state, loved it. Oxygen is a free and healthy and easy way to do that. And with the way you do it, you breathe in for 4 seconds. So it's big breath in for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go blow out for 4 seconds slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I would do like 6 of those things. 6 to 8 of those things. And I would just feel so much different at the end. My mind would feel renewed and clear. And I feel like I was actually kind of taking charge. But like being bored, it doesn't mean you're broken. You have kind of not built your life around anything other than using a substance. And that's how you build your time. You will find new hobbies, you will do new things, but you're not going to be able to just pick these things up. You're gonna have to be kind of intentional about it. You're going to have to make a note, like in your phone, put that stuff, remind yourself in those moments, or you're going to end up like a kid during the summertime where they claim they have nothing to do and their house is full of stuff they could do. We can do that as adults just the same. So yeah, when I gained all this weight, I want to tell the story real quick. I was eating everything I could find. There was chocolate and chips and all kinds of stuff. And I didn't gain it all at once. It felt like I got healthy at first. And Paige is like, you look so much better. Like you're healthy. Like, cause I was skinny when I was like, I'm like 6 feet tall and like 160 is light for me. And I was always kind of a bigger, stockier build. And I didn't look good, but then I blew up and it felt like once I hit about 175 or 180 pounds, everything after that was like, and it came on and it came on quick. My head was such a circle. Looked like our dog, like a Boston Terrier, a little circle head. Clothes didn't fit. And I did that for like a year and I was kind of okay with it because I was sober and I was happy and I was present and I like the anxiety had left my body and I just felt good, but I didn't like the way I looked in the mirror and it would bother me. I hated looking at myself with my shirt off. It all came to a head for me. It was like right around Thanksgiving, I guess. And I went to go buy a football jersey and I put it on and I could see my man boobs through the jersey. And I was like, that's a bad look, man. Did you know that they make Spanx for guys? I didn't, but I found out that day because at that place they had Spanx for men. And I put the Spanx on, which is like a workout just to do that. Like I'm wrestling this thing and I got it on. I'm like barely able to breathe, but I put the jersey on over it. And I was like, dang, I look good. But then I'm looking at myself in the mirror thinking like, this is a rock bottom moment for us, bro. We just bought Spanx for our man boobs. We've got to do something about this. And then a month or two later, I actually did start CrossFit of all things, which was great because it's group exercised and you got a lot of supportive people around you. Group exercise is amazing. And I tell everyone who's new at it, go do it with the group. Go do it with the group, man. It feels amazing to have other people there cheering you on and pushing you and being supportive and like you can talk to them about it. It's awesome. It's a lot better than the solo wolf stuff. I do that now, solo wolf kind of stuff, but in the beginning it was all that. But I lost all the weight, ended up getting in shape and fitness became a huge part of my recovery and my life. Just don't let things go too far. I think in recovery, we can run this risk of going toward this stuff so hard that we kind of forget like our reason for getting sober, right? It's not just so we can live like this healthy life. That's kind of selfish in some ways. We are also husbands and fathers. That's our first job. We talked about this last week. That's our first job. The rest of the stuff comes after. That's our first job. Be there for the family. Take care of the domestic duties. Make sure you're working hard at work. Make sure you're raising your kids. Once that stuff's done, you got some hobbies and fun stuff you can do. And it's awesome. All right. Social life in sobriety is a difficult one. Kind of in the open, I alluded to it. We think we're never going to have fun again. We wonder how in the world we're ever going to be able to do anything sober. How am I ever going to watch a football game all the way through sober? Can I ever go fishing again? What about hunting? The hell we do during dove season? We just sit there and shoot the birds. What if nothing's flying? How many we can't drink beer? We used to stack up empty beer cans like crazy dove hunting. There's so many things that in my life revolved around alcohol. Golf, that was like an excuse to go drink. All my friends drank. Everyone I hung out with drank. I heard from a listener. It's a really good guy. He's in the UK, and I've come to know enough about British culture to know that drinking is a big deal. It's a huge deal, right? It's as important as anything. It's kind of ingrained in everything they do. And like alcoholism and addiction is prevalent over there, but it's not exactly like it's almost frowned upon to not learn how to manage it. And it can be really tough in those kinds of cultures. I follow some British creators and it's really interesting. Both of them have a very entrepreneurial spirit and they're very high agency. Like they kind of want to do things their own way. And they've had a really hard time with their friends in the UK because they just take the piss out of them all the time. Like, don't get caught in the UK trying to do better for yourself, to want more for yourself. Don't get caught doing that. A lot of times, if your friend groups are going to shit on you for it, they're going to take the piss out of you. They're going to rail on you for it. Man, it breaks my heart that there are people who are trying to do better and they've got people around them who aren't supporting them. I would say just come move to the States and we'll take care of you. We got you. We love that. We love people who try to do better for themselves and we'll pick you up and we'll support you and we'll cheer you on. But for many of you, it's not going to be an option. I know one of them did this actually, but the other one's still over there. I think you just have to surround yourself with the right people and you'll find your people, but you're not going to find them at the pub. You're just not. Maybe it's if it's a lifelong friend who supports you and understands, but in general, you're just not. And it's tough because like when you want to still have friends, of course, right? In early sobriety, but it's tough to whenever everything's revolving around drinking. And I struggle with this too. Like my brother on my brother-in-law and I were really close. Remember, I was in my 20s when I got sober. So that's a time in your life where you're still drinking pretty heavy. And I was drinking heavy. And like everything we do, we would hang out. We'd always be drinking. And like I didn't know how we'd hang out anymore. I was like, I don't really know. Like I've never really had deep conversations with the guy. We always just drank together. And I remember I went to his house. My first sober outing was at actually his house, Memorial Day, 2013. And I went over there and I was so worried. And Paige and I had a code word worked up before we left. I don't remember what the code word was. Pick something. Banana. I don't know. Like pick something. And just know that whenever you give your partner that code word, that means that you've given it your all, but you're uncomfortable and it's time to leave. And so we were over there. It was fine at first, you know, kind of felt weird. I had just come back from treatment. I didn't want people to treat me differently. I didn't want them to look at me like I was like just diagnosed with cancer and they weren't sure what to say, or I just had a death in the family or something. It's like, I'm just a guy who's just trying to be sober and working on it, but people don't know how to treat you and they're going to be weird about it. And he came over to me, God bless him. And he was like, so you're really never going to drink again? And I didn't even know how to answer it. I was like, I was just thinking about today. I hadn't really considered forever, but I just told him like, not today. I'm just not drinking today. And he's like, so like, but what about like a couple months from now, a week from now? Like, what's the deal? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just not doing it today. I have no clue. And everything after that interaction, I was a little more comfortable because I had like kind of spoken up for myself and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this deal. I'm going to be sober. And like, he didn't say anything other than like, we got your back, dude. Like, we're going to support you. I better not catch you in the cooler drinking beer. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Something to that effect. Like I had people around me who were looking after me. And the party was fine until people had probably gotten like 10 or 12 beers deep. And then drunk people up to a certain point are fun to be around. And then they get really loud and they become close talkers. Like they're like right here and they spit when they talk and they repeat themselves over and over and over. And it's like, all right, banana, it's time to get the hell out of here. And we left. But I felt kind of cool about it. I was like, oh, wow, actually I did the deal. I was around people who were drinking and I was sober. Now, this isn't something you should do like day one. Like if all your friends do is hang out at pubs, don't go to the pub. Don't do it. Like there's this old saying, if you go to the barbershop enough times, you're going to get a haircut eventually. Pubs are kind of like that too. Like a bar is an advanced maneuver, right? That's something we're going to do later on once we've established, okay, I'm going to order a meal at a restaurant sober. I'm going to learn how to do that sober. I'm going to go fishing for the first time sober. I'm going to do all this stuff sober. But your first year, you're going to have so many firsts and it's going to be a big deal to you. And you're not crazy for thinking that because it is a difficult thing to do. Most people are kind of sheep and they just do this without thinking twice about it. Alcohol is just in everything they do. And you are going to be the exception to that. And that's something to be proud of, something to take pride in. And you have to kind of learn how to disassociate drinking from everything. Like restaurants aren't bars that serve food. They're places you eat and you can also get a drink there if you want. I had to kind of like rework that in my mind, especially places that I used to drink at. I would show up and I would kind of have to remind myself like, oh, wow, like this is the place. Like I remember sitting at that bar over there and with so-and-so and that one day and we had a good time. And it's just like, yeah, and that's in the past now. I'm here to grab a burger and then I got some stuff I got to do later and I'm just going to get on with my day. And you start to kind of disassociate everything from drinking. First time I went to a baseball game sober and sat through all 9 innings. That was crazy. I used to be up and down so many times from like to get drinks that I would miss most of the game. And I actually would sit there and watch the game, you know, drink Dr. Pepper and I would eat popcorn and peanuts and just hang out and enjoy the game and sit there with my son and actually enjoy time with him. Football season, kind of the same thing. Man, and I was on the Topo Chico sparkling water thing before it was ever cool. it was the easiest replacement for beer for me because I wanted when I was doing stuff, I wanted to have something carbonated, but I didn't always want sugar. So I would have Topo Chico and lime or any sparkling water or club soda and lime, seltzer, whatever, and lime. And I've learned also whenever you go out to like corporate functions or like after work stuff, if you order a club soda and lime, first of all, they're usually not going to charge you for it. That's like the first benefit because it comes right out of the little presser deal, that little bar thing. And then people are going to assume it's a vodka tonic. So they're not going to ask, hey, what are you having to drink? Why aren't you drinking? Because it looks like a drink. From a guy that was always drinking, they didn't even question it. People just assumed I was drinking. So I never had to have those conversations. But you're going to have a lot of firsts like that. Your first work function sober, your first football season sober, your first customer outing, golf trip, vacation, beach, pool, your old favorite restaurants, whatever it might be. And this is where things kind of get difficult because you're going to start to feel like a leper. Like they're having fun and I can't, and they can, I can't. That's not fair. This sucks. Maybe in the beginning it gets that way, but you will start to find reasons that you're enjoying what you're doing. Imagine like when you first start working out and you're out of shape. In the beginning, it just sucks, right? There's nothing fun about it because you're not seeing results and you feel like shit and you're sore and you're waking up early and your routine is disrupted and it sucks. But if you stay with it, you start to see abs poke through in the mirror and your shirts fit differently and people start to compliment you. That's kind of what it's like. It works just the same. You will start to see the benefits of it when you stick with it. Be around people who are supportive of it, though. I cannot say that enough. Like when I first got out of treatment, I was so nervous about my friend group because I've got this amazing group of friends and we've been friends since we were like in first or second grade. Some of us kindergarten. I mean, we went to elementary school, middle school, high school, college together the whole way through. And partying was part of that, man. It always was. And I was like, I don't know if I can be friends with these guys anymore. Like, what are they going to say? Are they even going to want to be around me? Like, I don't want to be like the wet towel and be like, oh, I can't come out to play because you guys are drinking. Like, I didn't want to be the reason that they felt weird. I didn't really know how to handle it. When I got, and I didn't even tell them I was going to treatment. I think they found out because they'd been texting me and no one said anything back. I think they had reached out to like my brother or something. He told them where I was. But when I got out, I told him my best friends at the time, I was like, dude, I'm just embarrassed. Like, I'm just really embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed that like I had this problem that got so bad. And I just hope it doesn't change anything between us. And he wrote back and he said, dude, we love you so much and we will support you every way we can through this, every bit of the way. Let me know what I can do to help. And I think what he meant by that was, if you need us to not drink around you, we're happy to support you in that. If you need someone to talk to, I'm there for you, whatever you need. And my biggest thing was I didn't want to interfere with anyone else's lives, right? So there for a while, we didn't see each other too much. I don't think I was probably close to a year sober before I saw those guys. Because we had kids and stuff at this point. It's not like we're like super tight anymore, you know, still talk in group chats and we go on a trip once a year, but like get older, you start to like other things take priority. If you are spending a lot of time with your friends and you have a family, rethink that for a second. I've seen those emails come from your wives. Rethink that. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. I had to kind of represent myself as someone who was really trying on this deal and then see what came back from the world. And that's a really, really scary thing about recovery is that you'll find out who your friends are. You'll figure it out pretty quick. When you put it out there that you're going to be sober and that you're working at sobriety, one of two things will happen. People will support you or people will abandon you. And most of the time, people abandon you. They just don't talk to you anymore, man, because you're a threat to their lifestyle. You make them think about things too, a little too hard. They don't want to think, if you're an alcoholic, then what are they? It gets kind of weird for people. So you will possibly have to find new friends, and that's okay. And there's a lonely period in recovery where you're too different from your old friends to hang out with them, but you're not quite at the point where you're comfortable enough to spend time with new friends or make new friends. And so you're just kind of in the middle. And this is why I think recovery groups are important. This is why sober community of some kind is really important, to have people in your corner and not just your spouse, people who get it, who are doing it as well. Not just your spouse. She ain't getting sober, dude. She doesn't know what that's like. She doesn't know how to fight those urges. You got to come out of your shell a little bit and be a little bit vulnerable and say, talk to some other dudes and who are trying to get sober. Do that any way you want. I'm not telling you have to go to a 12-step meeting. Just go do something, right? Do something. One of the best pieces of advice I ever heard about this was when it comes to recovery and when it comes to you wanting to stop drinking and actually be better for yourself, you're going to be scared that people are going to reject that version of you. Here's what I was told is that those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. The people that truly matter to you will support that. And those are the people you want to keep in your corner. Anyone that has a problem with it, goodbye. You don't need them anyway, dude. That's not a friend. What is that? You know what I mean? So if they're just taking the piss out of you and they're making fun of you, they're bullying you, or they just quit calling you, them ain't friends. Those are drinking buddies. You're going to lose a lot of drinking buddies because you should. Now it's time to grow up and find what real partnership and real friendship actually looks like. But I had a lot of mantras I would use as well. That first year, I hung close to the house. Me and Paige spent a lot of time together, spent a lot of time with my kids. I wasn't out and about with a lot of friends, but I did eventually kind of work myself back into that stuff as I got more comfortable. And I would have like little outings, right? I would go to the restaurant and then I would eventually kind of go to an after work thing. I would go on trips and like not right away though, not right away. Like we didn't go back to Vegas for like 8 years. And that's where I hit rock bottom. I didn't go back to Vegas for a while. The first time I went back sober, I'm like, this is a different experience. It was still really fun. I have so much fun now. I wish I could plug you into my brain for 1 minute so you could see what I'm talking about. And you wouldn't think twice about all these fears you're having. But I would have mantras as well. Like ranch water was a drink that became really popular a little bit after I got sober. I don't know why that always just sounded ranch water, cold ranch water. I don't know. Maybe I'm from Texas and like, I don't know. On a hot day, they would talk about having this ranch water drink. I didn't even know what the hell it was, but I think it's like seltzer and vodka, which isn't really, I don't know, how is that unique? But anyway, I would have to remind myself in those moments, Matt, that's just a flavor you haven't thrown up yet. That's all it is. Or like some new drink would come out. And I have to remind myself that like the way you drink, dude, it's just a flavor you haven't thrown up yet. That's all it is. And I would have to also remember what happens when you drink, Matt. When you drink, you don't drink like most people do. Remember what you do. You get a little bit of a buzz and it starts to feel good. And then you're on the phone with your dealer in no time. And because you want it to be stronger and heavier, or you're going super hard and the night never ends and you end up doing something you shouldn't. That's my pattern. And I accepted that about myself, lovingly accepted it about myself. That's just who I am. That's right. That's the way I drink. I had to remember that. And then the big one for me is, man, you've already experienced everything that alcohol has to offer. You've been to all the parties. You've done the all-nighters. You've gone on the crazy trips. You've done the blackouts. You've tried everything there is. You've done everything that someone can do. You've done it. All the trips, every bit of it. There's nothing new to discover there. You've done it all. You're not missing anything new. You aren't going to discover something new that you missed out on. You're actually going to miss out on it if you don't stay sober. When you stay sober, you're going to experience life in a totally new way. There's going to be all kinds of new firsts, and you will get new experiences. I retired from the drinking game. Retired, man. When you retire from something, like you gave it all you could, it just doesn't serve a purpose in your life anymore. I retired. That's the way I think about it. I retired. If I wanted to go back, I could. I choose not to. I don't drink. It's not that I can't drink. I could go drink right now. Nothing is stopping me from getting up and walking in there. And I don't know if she has any alcohol in the house or not, but if she did, from grabbing that drink, I'm an adult. I can do what I want. I don't drink. I don't want to drink. What is drinking going to offer me? Right. I think it's just become such an acceptable escape for people. And I think that's where I want to go next is like, what are we escaping from? Like I look around the world and everyone's, they're drinking to get away from the stress. They're drinking to deal with anxiety. They're drinking to deal with responsibility. And it's like, I don't want to escape from anything. I want to be happy in it. Where's everyone teaching us how to do that? And the fact of the matter is there's just not many people doing that. Everyone's okay with being a sheep and just putting the stuff in their body and just like sort of just numbingly walking through life like some kind of a zombie without realizing everything that we're missing whenever we're allowing ourselves to experience emotions from the beginning all the way to the end. And I became really okay with telling people that I was in the pursuit of that. And that's what recovery really is anyway. That's what like living sober actually is. When I would get stressed out at work, I'd be like, what's that from? And I would ask myself these questions in turn, like, what is that coming from? Am I scared that I'm not going to get something I want? Am I scared I'm going to lose something I have? Okay, well, what would happen if I lost it all tomorrow? I would have my health. We would probably figure it out. I could get a new job. Like, I start to reason through this stuff instead of before I would just sort of have this ambient anxiety or stress that I couldn't quite identify. And then as much as I thought about was that I don't like it. And then I would just drink something or put something on my body and it would go away. And I never really dealt with anything. In recovery, I've really had to think about my life, and I set up boundaries around things that didn't work for me. And I've pursued things that did. And I have passions and I have more intimacy in my life than I could ever dream of. And it's all as a result of just simply not putting a chemical in my body and taking accountability and having humility to learn and stay humble enough to walk through things and make mistakes and to do better the next time. And it's that simple. And it's just a million trillion little decisions like that throughout your day that create a life that you don't have to escape from anymore. And it's like this cultural trance that people are in, man. It's crazy, especially like in the UK. I know that's such a huge culture over there for drinking. And it's really tough for people to, you're a football fan, you want to go watch the match. Just tell people you're there for the match and the camaraderie, but you're not there for a pint. And that's okay. They don't have to know why. Fuck them. Hell do they care? But I think just one day it hit me. I don't want to escape my life anymore. I'm done running from my life. I've experienced everything that alcohol could offer me. I'm ready to experience my life. And I think that this is where values come into play. And values are huge, man. In our course, our program, Independently Strong, we talk a lot about values, and that's like where your boundaries come from. Your values are everything. It's how you make every decision. Everything should come from them. If you're unsure of what decision to make, what do your values say? If you are in recovery and you have really thought about, like, you've just recently gotten sober and you're thinking about your values, okay, I value peace. All right, so you think about, should I go to the pub tonight? Well, I value peace, so probably not, right? What does peace mean? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to play a video game. I'm going to do something different. Let's say that you value health. That's an easy one when it comes to alcohol or something like that. I didn't listen to this one. I didn't take my own advice the first year I was sober, but let's say you value health. All right. So the behavior that supports that's getting up on time. That's lifting 3 to 4 days a week. That's eating clean foods. That's drinking water. That's going to bed at a reasonable hour. Right. So it's not all the stuff that we used to do. Let's say that we value honesty, because I'm sure you do. Like most people do, you value honesty. Tell one person the truth about where you'll be and then do it, or tell one person the truth about how you're feeling. Start to speak honestly, start to get used to that. And you can kind of map your behaviors, but there's like a little mini exercise that I would do. I think you have to really just learn how to fill the void. Like if it's not just all these activities that you're trying to do, I think that you can find a different ways to kind of revamp your mood as well. And a lot of that was gratitude lists were like one of the activities that I used in the beginning when I would get kind of down about things or depressed or anxious or worried. And I would make a gratitude list and I would write out everything that I was grateful for in that moment, everything I was grateful for. And I was grateful that I had stress because that meant that I was needed. That meant that I had a job and I was grateful for that. I had a roof over my head, that I have healthy children, that I'm healthy, that I have a marriage, that I've got, an awesome dog, that I've got a car that runs, and I've got a million things to be thankful for. Suddenly my mood changed and things weren't so bad. I was like, wow, I've got a lot of going for me actually. Holy shit. Okay. This is okay. Sometimes I would just move. Movement's a key one. Energy has to go somewhere, right? So keystone habits around that are exercise. This is healthy sleep. This is morning light, lifting, protein, breaks and hydration and things like that. New hobbies. Man, do a 30-day sprint on hobbies, okay? And I do preface this by saying, if you've got kids, you've got a life at home, and you have a wife at home, you don't need to just be worried about your hobbies and only your hobbies. Early recovery can be a really selfish time because you are going to have to focus a little more on yourself than everything around you, but try to do both as much as you can. Try to be there for other people, but do a 30-day sprint with hobbies and figure out what you like. Play an instrument, pick up a guitar, do something you used to do when you were younger. Maybe it's art, woodworking, cooking, a running program, a language app, whatever it might be. Join groups where alcohol isn't the glue. Jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, a running group, a cycling group, a mountain bike group. You can go through recovery groups, whatever it might be, where alcohol is not the glue anymore. And if you're family time and you want to spend time with your family, you can actually two birds with one stone. You can do active family stuff. You can hike as a family. You can do backyard games. You can do pool time. You can do sport practices. You can volunteer and coach your kids' teams, whatever it might be. Dude, I started doing that in recovery. My kids started playing sports and stuff. And you're a coach when you say you are, when they're young. There's no one more qualified than the rest of us. You just get in there and it's just like herding cats at some point when they're little, right? But you're involved, man. And you're going to have to be present in those moments. My favorite thing about coaching isn't like the sport itself. It's that, like, I don't look at my phone for 3 hours. I'm there with him and the other boys, and you're just present. And it's such a great feeling to feel like you're useful and to have a purpose like that. And eventually, if you've never coached the sport, eventually they're gonna outgrow your usefulness as a coach, but you'll find other things. But do something with your kids, do something with your family, get engaged, do something like that. I think in the beginning, sobriety feels really strange because you just don't have any experience doing it. And there's a rep deficit there, right? And the early discomfort isn't it's just a lack of reps. It's not a lack of ability. And I think people really F that up badly, and they beat themselves up because it feels impossible to be sober. Well, it feels impossible to lift 225 pounds the first time you try. It feels impossible to ride a bike the first time you tried it too. It feels impossible to walk, but you didn't give up doing that. Don't give up. Don't give up before it gets better. Just quite literally put one foot in front of the other and get the reps in. And it could be little things, like you're going to go to work and get through a day the first time sober. That's a rep. You're going to go sit through a party where everyone's drinking and you're not. That's a rep. You're going to have to cure boredom. That's a rep. You're going to have a fight without and resolve it in a healthy way, like a normal adult, without going off and drinking or using drugs. And that's a rep. And you're going to pick up 1,000 of these reps. That's why I said in the beginning, like, being sober is the culmination of thousands and thousands and thousands of choices that you're going to make. And I think that your why has to be important too. Remember why we're doing this, because our old life didn't serve us. It didn't. If it did, we wouldn't be here. It didn't serve us. Like, it had exhausted its usefulness in my life, and probably yours too. And we're going to have to do something different. So if we're going to be sober, let's at least make it fucking awesome. And it is. I think you can make it not awesome if you want. And that's if you choose to do nothing with it. If you just sit around and white knuckle sobriety, you're going to hate it. It's going to suck. You're not going to develop any tools to deal with any of this stuff. So you're going to feel all the feelings and have no outlet for them. You're not going to want to move your body. You're just going to want to sit around. You're not going to have good relationships because you're not open about it. But I think so much of this, honestly, is about identity. It's like this becomes part of your identity. I kind of alluded to it earlier. We were kind of making fun of like with the workout groups and like, how can you tell someone's in CrossFit? Like, just wait 2 seconds and they'll tell you. Or cyclists or any other thing. But like in recovery, it becomes part of your identity, and it should be. That's how it becomes cemented. And the more experiences that you're going to have sober and celebrate, the more recovery and sobriety becomes a part of your identity. And I think it's tough for a lot of people too, because they feel like others are judging them because they don't drink. No one cares. I've been through this more times than I can count with people when they're fresh. They're like, what do I tell other people? You don't have to tell them anything. You're an adult. You make whatever decision you want. And no one's going to ask. No one gives a shit what's in your cup. You care, and you think that everyone else does. You think you're the center of the world, and it's this big deal that you're not drinking. No one gives a shit. It's like that Jurassic Park meme where he looks around, he's like, see, no one cares. It's just like that. But if you need some help, I've gone several different ways on this. I've told people, just not drinking today. I got an early morning, whatever it might be, like early on. You can kind of fib around it. Or I just don't drink. I've been sober for X time, and it's really working for me. I've had one person push me, and this is at a wedding actually, and they were trying to toast to like the groom, and there was like in the groom's suite or whatever, and everyone's getting ready, putting their tuxes on and stuff, and I was part of the groom's party, and this guy raised a glass, and he passed a glass to everyone. He raised a toast, and I just set my cup down and I grabbed my Diet Coke or whatever I had, and I was holding it. And he was like, "What the fuck's your deal? Get your drink." I was like, "No, man, it's good. I don't drink." He's like, "You're drinking today?" I'm like, "The fuck I am. I don't drink. I do not drink." And at this point, I made it awkward because he did. And everyone else was like, "No, bro, like he doesn't drink at all." He's like, "He's going to drink today." And I told him, like, I'm a fucking adult. And if I tell you I'm not drinking, that's it. End of story. Stared at him, made it weird. I didn't give a fuck. What kind of person is going to push someone to drink? What the fuck are we, 12? Get out of here, man. I'm a grown ass man. You're not going to tell me to drink. Fuck that. It's only happened to me one time though. Other than that, I've made it funny for people. No, I suck at drinking. I don't drink anymore. And they just kind of laugh and go about their day. No one cares though. In general, you can just tell people you have an early morning, you're just trying to stay sharp, whatever it might be. Not a big deal. I just now tell people I just don't drink or I'm not drinking today. And it's that easy. This show is about partners and spouses. These episodes in particular do help, I think, people who are more like me, guys that are trying to work toward this. But I do want to tell people your spouse or partner cannot be your only support. Can't. We have put them through so much. The person that is most at risk if we decide to drink again cannot also be the person that you go to when you're scared you might drink again. You need to have more support. You need to have other people in your circle, whether that's a mentor, a therapist, a coach, a sponsor, just a buddy in recovery, whoever it is, but they cannot be your only person. They want to be helpful generally, but also understand if they don't, because they've heard a lot. They've heard us talk about this. Maybe they've been burned by your behavior so long that they're actually kind of done with you and they just haven't really come out and said it yet. And they just don't really give a shit what you're doing at this point. Maybe your words just don't mean much. You have to be okay with that too and find your support elsewhere. I think that personally, I was totally fine with my wife drinking. I was completely fine with it because my goal was not to change the world to fit it wasn't to change the conditions to suit my attitude. It was to change my attitude to suit my conditions. I didn't want to interfere with her life. She's a responsible adult. She's always been able to handle alcohol appropriately. Why would I interfere with her life and say something like, you can't have alcohol in our house? Although that is what our counselor told us when I was in treatment. And she did follow the rules, but I told her day one, like we walked out of that meeting, I was like, you don't have to do that shit. If I'm ever going to learn how to do this, I need to learn how to live around it. I need to learn how to live in a world that is obsessed with alcohol. I wanted the exposure therapy. Other people, they will make rules like that. I'm not telling you what to do with your lives. I just think, how is that realistic? Maybe for a period of time until you really get it together, but it's crazy. But then there's also spouses and partners that feel like they're so disgusted by alcohol, they don't even want to have it around. They don't want to drink. They don't want to put that temptation around you. If you do go back out, they don't want to be responsible for it and have that what if I didn't have it in the house, right? But I think it's also fair to be, humility is part of recovery. And if your spouse or partner is concerned about a plan that you have, maybe, let's say that you're a golfer and you haven't golfed with your friends since you got sober. And then you decide, we're going to go on a golf outing. We're going to go play 18. And she's like, okay, like she knows those are your old drinking buddies and you haven't brought it up. She's waiting for you to bring it up, dumbass. You have to bring it up. It would be really reassuring to hear. And believe me, I know, and I've already talked to them. I let them know what I'm doing and I'm not drinking and they're going to hold me accountable while we're on the course. I'll text you. We'll talk. And, after the first 9 and here's my plan. Give them some kind of a plan. Be proactive. When you don't say anything, what are they left to assume? Right? And what, are you too big to get your feelings hurt that you have to be accountable? Come on, dude. You would want someone to do it for you. You would want that same reassurance. Let's say that someone's a serial cheater and you're with them and they're going to go with girls weekend this weekend. How would you feel if they just said, yeah, going out with the girls? Ooh, it's sting, right? You get that feeling in your chest like, oh no, here it comes. I'm about to get let down. Here we go again. She's going to cheat on me. Wouldn't it feel better to know, like, no, I'm around like my good friends, like good behavior friends, and I'm accountable and we're not going to go do what we usually do. Just a boring night in and I'll text you. I'll talk to you. We're good. And you can always call so-and-so if you can't get a hold of me. Wouldn't that feel better? A lot better. Feels good to know that people give a shit. Feels really good. You have to be proactive though. You have to be proactive. I did this with Paige all the time. And I was like working as hard as anybody. And I still did this stuff to let her know, yeah, we're going so-and-so. If things get weird, I've already got a plan to leave. So I might be home early. If I'm home by 7, that means they started smoking weed. And I would just tell her. And sometimes I would be home by 7. It's the way it is. But I think that they're right to feel that way. I don't think that's crazy at all. I don't think that makes them controlling. They're just wanting safety. God forbid someone wants safety back in their life. What is wrong with that, right? Just offer the plan proactively. I think that something that's been driving me nuts over time as I see guys doing this and their spouses are freaking out. And understandably, You could help them through this, right? But I think you have to be boringly consistent in a lot of ways. On time, your phone's on, your receipts are clean over time. And if it sparks a fight, just don't go. Just don't go. Big deal. Big deal. Value trust over your ego. Just don't go. If it's a huge fight, just don't go, man. I can't think of a time that like, this is like that whole when in doubt, don't. That always worked for me. When in doubt, don't. Or just do the opposite. I don't think it's a great idea. Like there's a friend of mine, bachelor party, right? I've known this guy since like kindergarten. And his bachelor party, I was 7 or 8 months sober, and they were going to go to the casino and they were going to throw down. I just told him I couldn't make it. And he said, I totally understand, man. But I wanted to extend the invite. He said, I want you to know that we still love you, but I kind of expected this and it's totally fine. We'll send you some pictures. And they did. They sent me some photos of not like debauchery, just like having a good time. Let me know they love me. But I didn't go. And I think if I would have told Paige, hey, I'm going to bachelor party, she'd have been like, you think that's the best idea? And then we're having a fight about it, right? Like when in doubt, don't, man. I wasn't ready and I'm glad I didn't go. I've gone since, and I should be clear about this. The life I live today, I do whatever I want when it comes to being around substances and whatnot. I've got some groups of friends that I see very rarely. And these guys have never had addiction issues. These guys are responsible adults. And like some responsible adults do, they like to cut up every now and then. And they'll have some drinks, they'll smoke a little bit, maybe some psychedelics or something like that. And I could be around that and it doesn't faze me. I don't get tempted. I don't think, oh my God, I need that. I don't worry about myself. I just have a good time. There's nothing, you couldn't shove that shit down my throat. Dude, I'm having a great time. I'm laughing at you guys and we laugh so hard, like almost piss myself. We laugh so hard and I'm sober. And there's older, like as we get older and more guys get kids, more of them are like me and they're just sober and they just don't. And it's hilarious. Like we're just sitting there and the others are doing their thing. And it's so much fun though, dude. I can do anything. I can be anywhere. But you do have to ask yourself the question, like early on, especially, do I have a real reason to be here? You know, you just go to the bar, they go to a bar. Like, do you have a reason to be at the bar? Is there a business meeting there? Are you meeting clients? Like, why are you at the bar? Remember, if you're going to go to the bar enough times, you're probably going to order a drink. Stay out of the fucking bar. Go somewhere else. Go to a coffee shop. Try that. And work your way up. Start at a coffee shop. So you're just around people everyone's sober, right? Just get comfortable being in public sober. Then scale it up. Go to a restaurant, okay? Then scale it up. Go to a baseball game or a football game. Then scale it up. Go to a concert. Most people are drinking. And then when you get comfortable with that, scale it up. Go to Vegas. Have a good time. Do it sober. And you will see, like everything I'm saying is true. Like you will be able to have these experiences and it's so fulfilling. I need you to go from the I can't to I don't. That's a huge identity shift. I can't drink is deprivation. You can. We're choosing not to. We're taking our power back. That's totally different than I can't. No, you can. We're choosing not to. And there's a difference. Major difference. There's pride in that. Like I chose this and I keep choosing this and I like who I am sober. It's so much different than they can and I can't. You can. We don't. There's a huge difference there. Oh, also, after some time, I've recognized this and I wanted to bring this up because I think it's relevant to your future sobriety. I hope that you get to that point where you're healthy and you got the stuff out of your life. But even at almost 13 years sober, I'm like 12 and a half years sober right now. I still have these lingering thoughts every once in a while where I'll be like, I wonder if that was just like a phase and if I could drink if I really wanted to right now. Like how long would it last? How long could I like continue? And then it feels like forever, but these thoughts probably happen in a microsecond, right? I stop myself and I go, what the fuck is that? Think about everything that you went through. Think about the way that you drank and I checked every box on the "Are you an alcoholic" list, right? That thought isn't failure to me. The fact that thought still pops in my mind, that thought is just like the old trail covered in dirt now or covered in grass calling to me. And for me, it's confirmation. It's confirmation that there is something different about the way my brain works if I'm still thinking about it, because normal drinkers don't think about it. I've talked to them. I know them. They don't even think about it. Paige, for instance, just told me the other day, she hasn't had a drink in like over a month and she wasn't even conscious of it. We were talking about drinking. Something came up. Obviously the stuff that we do comes up, right? She's like, I don't think the last time I drank, and she recalled the event. And I was like, that was like over a month ago. She's like, yeah, just been like busy. Just didn't think about it. I'm like, that's crazy. But that's how most people are, man. If you're thinking about it all the time, that should be confirmation that something's up. And it's still there in my brain. It's still there. It hasn't gone away completely. So not only do I have power back when I choose, I don't drink. I don't drink because of this reason as well. It's still there, right? I think you have to consider that for someone who's almost lost everything, and the fact that you would even entertain it proves the point. And it sort of reassures me that it's not a weakness. It's just acknowledging the truth about myself. And there's nothing wrong with knowing that you have something going on with you and you choose to handle it and treat it responsibly. If you had a broken leg, I would expect you not to go running. I would expect you to ice that thing. I would expect you to take care of it and to sit out in things that you weren't meant to. And how is this any different? Right? You're choosing your health. You're choosing your future. We're not, it's not that, oh my God, I can't do that. What a miserable existence. Like, no, we just don't do it right now. We're not, because we have our reasons, right? It's no different. And I think like I just had to ask myself, like, also, the fact of my life is that in the last 12 and a half years, I've made up more ground and I've been happier and more fulfilled and I've had more passion and intimacy in my life than I have in my any other years of my entire life. Why would I fuck with the good thing? Why would I mess with it? Right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is not broke. This is working very well. Why would I jack with it? For what? For something that, like, I know what that is. I know what drunk feels like. It's not as great as you're going to remember either. Promise you that. I had this come up. I had surgery recently, and I was an opiate guy, right? I had surgery, back surgery. And I talked to my doctor. First conversation I always have is like, listen, I'm in recovery. I'm in addiction recovery, actually from opioids. If there's any way that we can avoid opioids, I want to. And he told me post-treatment, absolutely. In the United States, they just send people home with stuff. I treated this with like Tylenol and Advil, very, very mild, like sort of like adjacent opioid kind of thing. But like in the hospital, they gave me an opioid, like IV, because I was just out of surgery and had this, cut over my back, big scar and whatnot. And anyway, I was laying there and it hit me, and I was like, it's not like I remember it. Like, I just remember I romanticized it being so much more powerful. All these years later, I'm like, wow, what a wasted my life for that. Gave up my marriage for that. It wasn't that great. It really wasn't. I think I romanticize it so much. It's just crazy. Just like bigger in my mind, I suppose. I think the more you become comfortable with this idea that you don't, and you have good reasons for it, and you could if you wanted to, you take back that, like, you get there's a swagger to sobriety in some ways where it feels good. You take pride in taking care of yourself, man. Shoulders back, eye contact, looking the world in the face, no lies. It fucking feels good. It feels way better than anything I ever had when I was drinking or using. Like, I took pride in myself, and it was time for me to grow up, and I was totally cool with that. And whoever I left behind, I left behind. They could have done it. They could have done it. They didn't. They didn't. I told you guys about the sparkling lime with water trick. I'm just going through here. Airports. Ooh, airports are a big trigger for a lot of people. Have a plan before you go, man. Have you a plan? If you're traveling alone, stay the hell away out of the restaurants and bars. Just stop by the little, like the Dunkin' Donuts. Just get something there. Have a plan whenever you go to an airport. A lot of people relapse in airports. Airports are a huge trigger because generally, if you're like, especially if you're going on like fun travel, that's where the drinking starts. Like that morning is at the airport. I hop myself up on coffee. I always try to work out before I go. So I feel like, okay, this is my take care of me mode now. I've started my day the right way. I'm exercising. I'm traveling. I'm looking forward to this trip, and I'll make sure that, like, I play the New York Times crosswords, Wordle and connections and all that stuff. I have those games prepped for myself. I read. A lot of times this is when I write, like writing episodes or writing for a newsletter. I'm doing something productive, right? And it's usually around recovery or having someone in your phone, at least you can call. I've had many calls from airports from guys as they're telling me I'm at the airport. I don't know why, but this place makes me want to fucking get hammered. Yeah, well, first of all, they're stressful and they kind of suck. But two, it's just a kind of it's like a mental trigger. But here's 3 things you can do, right? Have someone in your corner, text that ally. I'm not drinking. Back me up on that this week. Again, not your spouse or partner. We're not to lean on them to that degree. They want to be involved in your recovery, but they don't want to be responsible for it. I promise you. And I think let's try this. This is like a test for the week. If you're kind of new at this, pick one sober first and then write out your if then plan plus your exit. Let's say your first birthday party, friend's birthday party sober, or your first after work outing sober, and write out your if then plan. If this happens, then I will. If someone asks me to drink, then I will tell them I'm not drinking tonight. If someone rails on me for not drinking, I will tell them it's better for my health. I like the way I feel. Mind your fucking business, whatever it might be, whatever you have to say, right? And then also have an exit plan. If you are with someone else, that code word works really well. Have people around you that are supporting your recovery. And then I think that you could even put your why as a lock screen on your phone, maybe. I don't know. In your lock screen there, have your whys. Remember why you're doing this. I'm doing this because I want to be a better man. I want to be someone I can be proud of. I want to be someone my kids can admire. I want to be someone that my wife can depend on. I want to be someone that can feel comfortable in their own skin. I want to be someone that takes their health seriously. For these reasons, this is why I choose not to drink. I choose not to drink, not why I can't. I choose not to drink. I think that I've given you a lot of different scenarios, hopefully some things to think on as you kind of walk through being sober and what that's like, how to actually be sober. I think a lot of people have ideas of what it's going to be like. But again, I think that new perspectives are really helpful. And I hope that you've gained at least one thing from this because you're not going to fix this with the same perspective that got you here. It's going to take new perspective. It's going to take new thoughts, new ideas, new ways of thinking about it, new ways of looking at it. And just remember that you're really not missing out on much. You're not. And you already know what that life looks like, right? Now we have to understand why we do the things we do. We have to understand the triggers around that. We have to be okay with this lonely period of time where we haven't quite met our new friends yet. And this period of time where boredom feels like hell because those neural pathways are not there. And that every single one of them feels like extreme effort until they don't. And it's just second nature. I'm telling you now, like sober is my default. I don't want to feel different. I don't want to feel different. When I was in the hospital, actually, this is maybe a little extreme, but they gave me the medicine and I was in tears because I didn't want to feel that way, but I was in so much fucking pain. I'm not a martyr, right? But I don't want to change the way I feel. I love the way I feel on any given day. I do. And if you get sober and you've been sober for a while and you find that you're still not okay, like this is why medicine's important. This is why doctors are important. Now we can figure out what's really going on. What we really have to treat. Get your therapist, your psychologist or psychiatrist. You might need medication. You might need something. There's no telling, but we're not going to know until we start to live sober and we start to do that. But a lot of people just can't deal with the anxiety and they think that's never going to go away, but it does. But you have to give it a shot and you have to be okay with it. And at the very least, I just want you to know that all those feelings are totally normal, totally valid. You're going to go through them and it does get better. So stick with it. It's worth every freaking sad inch in the beginning. It's worth every bit of effort. It does get better. And I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has, leave a comment, rate the show. That helps a lot. And I always forget to tell people that. Leave us a review just because it pushes this show to other people who could find it. So if you've found it helpful, the one thing I will ask of you, cost you nothing, is just leave us a quick review. It makes it more discoverable for people who are needing this. Every day, new people find us that we're in desperate need of it for years and years and years. I had no idea it existed. Your review could be the difference in that. They could actually find it because you left a quick review. It doesn't have to be long and extravagant. Just, hey man, this is awesome. It's helped me with this. Good show. Nice production. Whatever it is. Whatever you like, just leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. That's all I've got. Until next time, I'm Matt.